Yes, please. Let's start this math lesson. Good morning or good afternoon, guys. I have one class of 7th grade honors in the morning and the rest of you are in the afternoon. So I'm just really excited because we're getting to my favorite things to teach in math, which is slope. I love teaching slope. So that's what we're going to do today. We're going to focus on the slope of a line. Now, I Googled what is slope. And if you think about that, have you ever been told in your life you're on a slippery slope? Especially like when you talk about what kind of kids you hang out with, you're on a slippery slope to failing grades or whatever. So, here's the definition of slope, not the math definition, but just the definition, so listen. A surface of which one end or side is at a higher level than another. A rising or falling surface. Okay, guys, that is exactly what we're doing. It's a rising or a falling surface line. Okay, so that's what we're discussing today. It is going to be super easy, and you guys, I'm just really excited about teaching slope. Okay, welcome back. So I'm going to teach you guys how to find the slope of a line if I just give you two coordinate points. So we could pretend there's a graph, a coordinate plane, and we've got a dot A marked on 2, 3, and B, 1, 5. Okay, so we've got dots at A and B, and there's a line that runs through the 2 points. So remember, these are your x coordinates, and that's your y coordinates. Now, for slope of a line, the slope of a line is rise over run. Okay, it's always rise over the run of the line. Okay, now rise means like climbing steps or going down steps, basically. So it's the up or down. So if you want to put rise up or down over the run, and you can't run up or down, you can only run horizontally, right? All right, so it's rise over run or y over x, okay? So your y coordinates always go on top. All right, so if we extended this out, there is a formula to help you find it. We always did y2 minus y1 over x2 minus x1. Now, technically, it doesn't have to be the 2 first. It could be the 1 first. It's whichever one is easier for you. I was just always taught this way, but I was talking about this with Maddox a while ago, and she was like, Mom, you really don't have to do the y2 first and then the y1, but I'm just going to go with the way that I've always been taught. You certainly can do whatever you want, okay? So what we do is now we've got to plug in up here. So we have, here's our y1. This would be 1, and this would be 2, basically. All right, so this would be my x1, x2, or x1, y1, x2, y2. So I'm just going to plug in over here, and actually I can go out to the side. So I'm going to do my y2, which is 5 minus y1, 3. All right, now look. Please make sure that you pause this video and you write this down because you're going to need this and you're going to want to remember it, okay? So make sure that you write that down. I'll try to make a Google Doc or a Google slide to help you with this, hopefully. I can do that. Of course, this is a Tuesday, October 13th. There's no students at school, and I'm telling you this now, and I may forget to do it. So if you don't see it in today's lesson, please just pause the video and let me know, and I'll get one made up real quick. Okay, so we have the y2 minus y1. Now it's x2, which is 1 minus 2. Okay, now when I do this math, 5 minus 3 is 2. And this is going to be a negative number. So I'm going to change my subtraction to addition, change the sign of the next number. Now, I have 1 plus negative 2. I take the sign of the larger number, which is 2, which is a negative, and I subtract. 2 minus 1 is negative 1. All right, so we have 2 over negative 1, which will reduce to just negative 2. Okay, and you always know there's the invisible 1. So that means if we were going to do a line. If we were going to graph this out, we would, let me erase this. If we were going to graph this out, we could go, it could be either -2. Y'all can't see that. I'm sorry, guys. Okay. It would be either -2 over a +1, or it could be +2 over -1. So we said rise over run. So you could either be going down 2 dots, and then if you go down, that means you have to go to the right, a positive direction, 1 dot. Okay? So you'd start here or whatever, and then you'd go down 2 over 1. Down 2 over 1. And we could put a line through that, and it would be linear. Now you also could go up 2, and then to the left, 1. Then up 2 over 1. Up 2 over 1. And we could put a line through that. Okay, that's if you're going to graph it. And I don't have a graph on my board, so I apologize. But there we go, we got that. Now, we're going to go to a different one. And then at the end, I'm going to screen record and show you how to find the slope of a line using a graph. Okay, so my next point, I've got 2 more examples, all right? And guys, I'm just going to do this. This is going to be easier. I'm just going to put my formula up here. y2 minus y1 over x2 minus x1, okay? And then we'll just keep that there. Okay, so my next one is, we've got C, and it's going to be -6, +1, and then we have D, which is 2, +2, +1. All right, so I have to, personally, you don't have to, I have to put X and Y, and I only just do it like one time and have them lined up like this. This is just my personal view, how I do it. All right, so it's y2 minus 1, so it's going to be 1 minus 1. Did I write that down right? Over 2 minus -6. All right, so when I do this, it's going to be 0 over 8, which is going to be a 0 slope. That is not going to be a line because there is no slope to it. There's nothing telling me how to go up or down, okay? So that can happen, okay? Undefined, I think is what it's called technically. All right, so, and it's okay, that happens sometimes. So now we're going to do, this is G, and it is -1, -3, okay, and H, and it is -2, -5. Lots of negatives here. All right, so, again, my personal is to label it. Okay, so it's going to be -5 minus -3, okay? -5 minus -3. Now listen, there's nothing wrong with writing this down that many times. There's nothing wrong with putting X over Y. There's nothing wrong with that. Everything is right with that. That makes sure that you are lining things up and that you're really understanding, okay? So there's nothing wrong with doing that. Don't think that that means you're inferior or you're not smart. It's organizing your brain, guys. I mean, think about all this stuff that's going on in your life. Like when I was your age, I didn't have all this stuff that you guys have. I didn't have sports outside of school. We only had sports in school, or you did soccer in the spring and then in the fall, and then there was no club volleyball. There was no select softball or baseball. There was no peewee football. I mean, so you have a lot going on. So organize in your brain these things, okay? All right, so these are our y's, and we're going to do -2 minus -1. Now listen, we've got to keep our likes together. So if you choose to do y2 and y2 first minus y1, underneath you better have your x coordinate, the second x coordinate minus the first x coordinate, okay? You got to keep them together. If you don't, it's a big old mess. All right, then it's not the correct slope. Okay, so keep your likes together. All right, so Knowing my rules, I'm going to change my subtraction to addition, change the sign of the next number, okay? Now that I have an addition problem, if I go back and look at my addition rules, and you can look back because it's in tidbits and important information in Google Classroom, you will see that once you get your subtraction problem, to an addition problem, then you just, if they have different signs, in this case, both of these have different signs. This is negative and this now is positive. So I'm going to take the sign of the larger number, which is negative, and now my answer is going to be negative. Okay? So -5, and then I subtract them. 5 minus 3 is 2. So it's going to be -2 over, and I'm going to take the sign of this larger number, which is 2. So -2, or 2 minus 1 is 1. All right, so now look. A negative divided by negative is a positive. So the slope of this line is going to be +2. Now also, you could still do -2. You could still go that direction if you're going to plot something. But you need to know that it's going to be just 2, 1 is what the technical one is. Even though, so you're going to go up 2 over 1, up 2 over 1, up 2 over 1, okay? Now this is where we put our dots, okay? Or that's where we put our line. Now, you could actually go in a negative direction. You could go down and to the left. So you could go boom, boom, over. That's where I would have started. Boom, boom, over. Okay? So that would have still, it's still technically -2 over -1. It's still technically the slope, but math-wise, they're going to want just 2. They're not even going to want the 2 over 1. But I'm not going to count it wrong if you get that. All right, so next up is a screen recording from an exercise in our book, and I'm going to show you how to use the graph to figure out the slope. I hope you guys don't have any problems with this. If you do, please raise your hand. Let me help you. You do not need to go on. I just want to also throw in there, I've been telling you guys since the beginning of school, all this stuff comes back. If you didn't understand how to add and subtract integers, you're going to have a hard time with this, okay? So you got to make sure that you know, and multiplying and dividing integers. If you didn't know the tic-tac-toe thing, right? All of it comes together, right? So positive, 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 negative, 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 negative. So negative divided by negative, negative divided by negative is positive, negative divided by negative is positive, negative divided by negative is positive. So all of these things come together. That's what people need to understand. It's like a volcano. It starts at the bottom. You're learning all this stuff, and it all comes together. And then you need it. So make sure that you understand it. You don't want to go on further and be further behind, okay? Guys, so I'm going to use this 1, 2, and 3. And we're going to learn how to find the slope of the line. I apologize that I can't leave dots on here, but I can't. So also you can see from the previous example, X and Y, they'll want you to draw, but you could totally do that and figure this out. All right, so here we go. Let's look at this. Let me see if I can zoom in. Perfect. All right, so if we're going to find the slope of the line, sorry guys, the bell's still ringing even if kids aren't here. It's kind of crazy. We're talking about going from this point to this point, okay? So if you remember the last example I did, the last little part of the video was slope is rise over run. It's going up and down and then left to right, okay? It's not going, we don't go right and then down. We go up and then over, okay? So let's see how many, we don't have to worry about the coordinate numbers. We're going up 1, 2. So the top part of our slope is going to be a 2, and we are going up in a positive direction, so it's a +2. And then 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. So this slope is going to be +2 over +5. You could also do -2 over -5, but it's so much easier to do positive over positive. But I'll show you super quick. You could go down 1, 2, that's a negative direction, just like an absolute value. We've talked about that. Absolute value is the distance away from 0. It's just telling you the direction you're going, okay? So 1, 2, going down 2, and then we're going left, which we know left is a negative direction. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. Okay, so that'd be -2 over -5. So +2 over +5 is much easier to work with. Okay, now, and look, you can see that this is going to be a positive because you can tell the direction it's going up. And we can tell that this one is falling down. So that is going to be a negative slope. I already know it's going to be negative. So I can do it this way. I can go, I've got to do rise over run. So I'm just going to start here and I'll show you that this will be negative. So it's 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. So I'm going up 5. So +5 over 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. +5 over -5. And we know that 5 divided by 5 is 1. And it is a +5 and a -5. And so we know by the tic-tac-toe system I showed you guys, a negative divided by a positive is a negative. So this would actually reduce to -1. Or you could even look at it this way. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. So I'm going down 5. That's a negative direction. But then I'm moving to the right, which is positive 1, 2, 3, 4, 5 in a positive direction. But I am going negative one time and not going negative both times. So this is going to be, the slope of this line is -5 over +5, which is, or +5 over -5. Either way, it reduces to -1. Okay, they'll always want it in the most reduced form. And you can see, even though there's not dots, but watch, I'll show you how it works with -1. If I go down over, if I go down 1 and over 1, right here I could put a dot. Then down 1, negative, over in the positive direction, put a dot. Down 1, over 1, put a dot. Down 1, over 1, put a dot. Down 1, over 1, put a dot. Okay, so that's how that can reduce to -1. Sometimes that confuses children. All right, now our last example, and I've already taken up a lot of time, so I'm really trying not to do that. Okay, so I can tell that this graph is going up. My slope is going to be a positive number. So I'm going to count from dot to dot, okay? So I'm going to go 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. So my rise is 5, my y is 5. 5 over 1, 2, 5 over 2. And that is as small as it will get. You know, I can't, there's nothing smaller. It doesn't reduce. So it's +5 over +2. Okay. So if you have questions, please pause the video, ask me.